What's up guys, it's CG. So this is going to be a thorough review of Homme Intense by the House of Dior. First I'm going to give you guys a rundown so you have a general idea what the fragrance is about. Then I'm going to share how users rated the scent profile and the performance. My wife and I are going to share our impressions of it. And finally I'm going to share my overall opinion having worn it. Without further ado, let's get this started. So this is an iris fragrance, front and center. It really has that floral element to it, but it has a really nice blend of cedar wood in there, especially in the dry down, and the whole vibe of the fragrance is a perfectly blended, very smooth and comforting classic masculine fragrance. It's very soapy, a lot more soapy than what I was anticipating, and very clean. The notes listed on Parfumo, in the top you have Florentine Iris Absolute, in the heart you have Ecuadorian Amberette Seed, and in the base you have Virginian Cedar. On average, users rated the scent an 8.5, 82% would give it an 8 or above, and only about 1 out of 20 people would give it a 6 or a lower. It's definitely not a polarizing rating distribution, and these metrics are really high relative to other things I've looked at on the website. As far as my personal rating, I would give it an absolute 10. I think it's absolutely phenomenal and I really love wearing this one. I was actually expecting a lot more polarization in the graph. People say this smells like a makeup bag. I've never really smelt a makeup bag, so I don't make that connection. Or people think that the floral element makes it smell kind of like a grandma fragrance. Again, I don't really make those connections, but based on what I've read online, I was expecting a lot more polarization than what I'm seeing. What I get is just a very soapy, clean, classic fragrance that's perfectly blended. For longevity, it got an average rating of an 8.3. 80% of voters would give it an 8 or above, so pretty much 4 out of 5 people agree that the longevity on this one is good. Definitely good. I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to go with the majority here. I would give it like an 8. It lasts most of the workday on me. I never really felt disappointed with the longevity. In fact, I thought it was pretty good. For sillage, you got an average rating of an 8, with 8 being the most common score it received. I agree with the majority on this one as well. I feel like the projection was good, longevity was good. I don't think it was the best performing fragrance ever. It really just creates a nice soft scent bubble for about 6 to 7 hours. The scent to me is phenomenal. Absolutely love it. Definitely got stuck on this one when I was reviewing it and just kept wearing it. Like, I didn't want to move on to the next fragrance. So I don't typically like this style of fragrance, powdery iris, but in Dior Homme Intense, it's just so well blended that it honestly breaks through so many barriers. The only other iris fragrance that I've liked is Interlude Black Iris, and pretty much every other one I've tried almost, I just don't really like. They give me like feminine vibes or kind of like a chalky weird vibe, or just feel like out of place for me, a little bit too posh, a little too formal. But Dior Homme Intense is just like a timeless masterpiece that I love. Like, I really love this one. I don't like the opening as much. In the opening, I really get that iris for sure and that powder. Now, it doesn't smell like baby powder like I get from like something like Prada L'Homme. And I understand a lot of people when they smell this one, they're like, oh, it just smells like straight up baby powder. I don't get that. I actually get more iris prominence over the powder throughout the whole composition of it. As it dries down, that cedar wood kicks in and it's just at the perfect dose. Like, the whole thing is so well blended. It smells more expensive than most niche fragrances I've tried because it's just so smooth and it's so complex. And that whole iris mixed with the powder, I feel like it's a perfect dose of both, that it just gives me this out the shower clean vibe. Like, almost like what I would say is like a soapy vibe. Like, I feel like that's the energy this gives off, is just a really clean, put together, classic masculinity mixed with that cedar wood that's just making it warm and inviting and super comforting. And it's just addictive smelling. I can't get enough of it. I don't think it's like way super formal like a lot of people say. I mean, everybody has their own opinion. But it seems like the majority think that this is just a super out of place, highly formal scent. I don't agree with that. I feel like I could wear this. Like, it's obviously not a beach day scent, and it is a little formal, like, for sure. But I don't think it's like a super formal fragrance like I get from Dior Homme Parfum. I also don't think it's restricted to like a certain specific weather. I don't think it's for below 70 degrees only. I think it could work in that 70 to 80 degree range in the spring, in the daytime as well, because ultimately it's like a super fresh, classy scent. That's what it is. slightly formal. Like it kind of feels in that category of green Irish tweed. Granted, green Irish tweed could work in more warm weather than the Dior Homme Intense, but it feels very in the sense that it's very wearable and it feels versatile to me. There's a lot of things I love about this fragrance. One of the big ones is the magic of it. For me, is like it's a timeless masterpiece in the sense it doesn't feel like a perfumer created it. It almost feels like a scent profile that always existed and represented classic masculinity, and it was discovered and pulled out of the cosmos. I get that also from green Irish tweed, and those are the only two I really get that. I'm going to be bringing up that fragrance a lot because I feel like if a mature man came to me and said, look, I just want to smell clean, I just want to smell classy, I just want to smell good and put together, I don't really care to get in the hobby, what two should I get just blindly? I would say get green Irish tweed and Dior Homme Intense. I feel like they both represent like that type of guy in my head, like perfect classic masculinity. One is more spring and summer, the other's more fall and winter. So I'm going to draw those comparisons a lot. But one of the ways that I compare them is they both just feel like they've always been. It doesn't really feel like someone created it. It just feels like it was. Like it's really hard to explain that. But that's something I've only gotten from these two. Another thing is the type of masculinity that Dior Homme Intense is, I resonate with. I also get this from Tom Ford Oud Wood, and what I would say is just like classic, genuine masculinity. For reference, I would say something like Sauvage or Leighton kind of has more of like a Chad masculinity, and something like Fahrenheit Eau de Toilette and like Koyam has more of that tough guy, leather jacket, smoky energy. This is like in that ballpark of things like Gentle Fluidity Silver or Perfume de Marly Haltane, that classic, almost genuine, calm, warm, inviting, masculine energy. That's not like a Chad and it's not like a tough guy. It's more like just a calm, put together man. So for that, this feels very wearable. I originally blind bought a 50 ml at a good deal, and I figured, oh, I could sell it if I don't like it because it's too powdery or whatever. You know, I thought there's a good chance I won't like this because this is just not really something I go for, iris and powder. But I ended up loving it so much that I sold it, and I'm gonna upgrade to the 150 ml. Now, I don't think you always need more than a 50 ml, especially when you have a rotation as big as mine, but this just feels so wearable. Like sometimes you really only need a 30 ml of like an animalic oud, because when are you gonna really wear that? You know what I mean? But this one just feels like I need a bigger size because I really see myself able to pull this off in a lot of scenarios. I really want to smell like this. I'm happy with the performance of it. Yeah, it's definitely gonna get a lot of wear, and one of the pains of being an honest fragrance reviewer is you always have to wear new things. Like I really got stuck on this one. Like I wore it for like a week straight during one of my breaks, and I was like, dude, I just don't want to go back to reviewing. I just want to keep wearing this. So all that pushed me to get the bigger size of it. I had a phase where it was like it had to be a niche fragrance, and I kind of just got out of designer, but I'm really glad that it came back and revisited designer brands like Dior. I think Dior just blows every other designer brand out of the water. That's just my personal opinion. I like them more than Tom Ford. I like them more than Louis Vuitton by a landslide. I'm not saying those are bad brands. I just think Dior slaps, especially with their private line with fragrances like Ombre Nuit, Bois d'Argent. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But they're also their European exclusives, the Homme Parfum, the Fahrenheit Parfum. Even in here, like revisiting fragrances like Sauvage and the Fahrenheit EDT, I'm able to appreciate Dior so much more now than I was in the past, and I'm really glad I broke through that barrier of only getting niche and gave this one a try. It's definitely not one to sleep on. I would also say it's still worth trying even if you don't like powder and irisy fragrances. The blend matters. The blend definitely matters. I don't like those much either, but I'm really glad I broke through that barrier of being a niche only guy, and also that barrier of not liking powdery iris, and gave this one a shot. I think this one's definitely worth trying, and if you don't like it, throw it away and say it wasn't for me. But I think it's worth trying just for the historical nature of it, and I also think it's something that's pretty easy to like, and it's blended extremely well.
Let's go with Dior Homme Intense. It has something about it where I can imagine like getting addicted to this smell in somebody. Like if somebody wore this consistently, because it's very memorable. Now, why? I don't know exactly why. It is not necessarily classic. Like, it doesn't smell expected. I have no idea what I'm smelling in it at all.
People say a makeup bag kind of smell.
Wow, you say that and it immediately connected. So I guess it's that talc powder, or yes, that makeup bag smell to it, lipstick. It smells really nice, and I don't know, it doesn't make me think of any age group. So I think it's safe for all ages. Very nice. I think this is a 9.
So this fragrance is 100% for me. I know it's not for everybody. Some people think it smells like a grandma. Comment with your opinions, subscribe for future content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.